Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. Welcome to our webinar on the Online MBA. We are going to talk about finding the right fit and exploring the student experience with representatives from 4 great online MBA programs. Let me introduce each and every one of them. We have Dr. Jordan Holliday, who is from Auburn, the Harbert School. I actually have a friend who graduated from your program not too long ago. Jordan is Director of Graduate Recruiting. And in Seattle at Washington Foster, we have Elise Glazer, who is the Program Manager for Admissions and Marketing at the Foster School for their Online MBA. We have Carla Mueller, the Director of Admissions at the Welch Management Institute. Anyone who knows me knows I knew Jack very, very well, having written his first book and biography, Straight from the Gut, a number of years ago. And from the University of Illinois, the Gies College of Business, we have Casey Jones. Welcome, everybody. So let's just get down to the nuts and bolts and the basics for everybody to start off. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about your program, how it operates, what its structure is, whether it has a specific focus or not, and what a student can expect when they enroll. Jordan, why don't we start with you at Auburn?
Absolutely. Well, first, thank you for having us, and we're all excited to be here. So the Online MBA at the Harbert College of Business at Auburn University has been around for more than 30 years. So we've had the program for a long time, starting from mailing VHS tapes out to where we are now. So we've been through a lot of changes over the years. We currently have a little more than 700 students that are enrolled and registered in the program. We just welcomed close to 100 in this past spring class that we admitted. Our Online MBA is our most flexible option for our MBA modalities that we offer here at Auburn. Students have up to 6 years to complete the program from when they start. Most of our students finish in about 2.5 years, but it gives them the flexibility to take 1 or 2 classes each semester as they need and as will work in their professional and personal life. So that's something that we often hear from students is a big selling point for them when they're choosing our program. In terms of specialties that they can choose, we offer elective courses that students can take in supply chain management, information systems, business analytics, and we even have some students who will get a dual degree in industrial and systems engineering if they do have that engineering background and want to pursue that, as well as supply chain management. So there's graduate certificates, dual degree options, and those elective courses that students can pick and choose from.
And is your program both asynchronous and synchronous, or one?
Yes, most of our students are going to take advantage of it being asynchronous, but for some of those courses, it is going to be a lecture capture of our full-time MBA students' courses. So if students would like to log in and watch it as it's happening live, then they have that option to do so, but they're not expected to. So I would say most, if not all, of our students are going to take advantage of that asynchronous option.
And your current enrollment is what?
Yes, current enrollment is a little over 700 students are enrolled and registered in the program right now.
Great. Elise, give us the lowdown on the Foster program.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. So the hybrid MBA is 95% online and 5% in person. That 5% in person is happens in quarterly immersions. So at the beginning of every quarter, we have our students, and about 50% of them are out of state or out of the Seattle area. So a lot of them are flying in every quarter. And then you have around 4 intensive days, all-day events where you're meeting with the faculty, going to networking events, going to, we have little fun social events. And so that's a really nice time to really get to know everyone in the cohort. We have 2 cohorts. So our first years, we have around 84. So we're around 80, 84 in each. So 160 to 170 overall. And we're a lockstep program. So the first year, all the students are taking the classes at the same time. The second year, you have more opportunity to take electives. We don't have any specific specializations. However, students can gear their electives as they want because they get 12 elective credits. So you're really able to explore in that second year. But because we have that lockstep program, most students, so we have a graduation rate of about 100%. So people really like how structured it is. We get you out in 2 years. So it happens, it's intense. You have your summers off, but you're out in 6 quarters. So that's something that people really enjoy. We're work compatible. So all of our courses are in the evening, and then those immersions are Thursday to Sunday. So we try to minimize the amount of time that you have to take off of work. And our average work experience is around 8 to 10 years. We have about 20% of our students already have advanced degrees. So definitely people that are further along in their career. And yeah, we love having all of our students come in for immersions. That's what we call that quarterly in person. And students really love that because they get to work with their teams and cohort. We're also put on a team. So you're on a team of around 5 or 6 students. So you get to work really closely with a few people throughout the 2 years, and that really builds the network.
Right. And how long has the foster program been around?
Yeah, we've been around. This program has been around for 5 years. So it's one of the newer foster MBAs, but we're in the foster umbrella. There's around 6 different MBAs that, you know, we really have a long history in the Northwest. And yeah, we're kind of the newer child of the foster program. But as time goes on and, you know, as online education becomes more well known, it's really exciting how many more students we are getting every year.
Great. And now, obviously, at the Jack Welch Management Institute, it's sort of a unique way to learn about business because you're really learning it through Jack Welch, the legendary chairman of General Electric. Tell us a little bit about the program.
Absolutely, John, and thank you so much for having me. So I've had the pleasure of working the program since almost the beginning, a couple months into the very beginning when Jack created the program. So over 10 years now. Jack created this program, as you know, with a really strong vision for wanting to create a program that was designed to help students win in business. It was designed to be very student-centric. He wanted an MBA program that was a little bit different in the way that it's so practical in nature, and it's designed actually not to interfere with students' career, but to help them in their careers. So the assignments and everything that they're doing in the program is designed to help them in their careers as they're going through the MBA program. That was Jack's vision, and all of our faculty, and in the past they've been ranked #1 in overall quality because they're all experts in the field that they teach, John. And that's the really exciting thing about the program is you're learning from not only the individual faculty or experts in their field, but then we have over 3 dozen what we call experts of practice. So that you're hearing lectures from people like Jack Welch and Warren Buffett. And as we mentioned, we have over 3 dozen what we call experts of practice, people like Dave Calhoun, the CEO of Boeing, and David Zaslav, the CEO of Discovery Channel. I'll share with you one of our most recent experts of practice is actually one of our very own Jack Welch graduates. Her name is Sharon Leidy, and the exciting thing about her, she's the CEO of the Vitamin Shop now. When she started the program, she was in transition. She became president of Godiva Chocolates, and so she just graduated. She's the CEO of the Vitamin Shop, and in fact, if the name sounds familiar, if any of you watch Undercover Boss, she was featured on that last Friday. So we're really excited about her and all the practice, and so that was Jack's vision, and what we've accomplished in the last 10 years is really exciting. We have such a diverse population of students, John. We have over 1,800 students from 48 states and 69 countries now around the world. We now have over 3,100 graduates. You know, the average age of our students about 40, and with about 15 years of experience, but they're so diverse. In fact, I was a little bit late joining the Zoom call because I was interviewing an NFL player. We have several of them in the program. So the great thing is that you're going to be in class with everything from CEOs and VPs on down to people starting their career. And that was, you know, Jack's vision. And Jack would always say, you have the most to learn from the people that are most unlike you. And so we have such a diverse population of students. We started out with our traditional leadership MBA. It's a 12-course MBA designed to get through in as little as 18 months. But most of our students are taking 24 to 36 months Some
Mhm.
students take longer. My husband went through the program like 4.5 years to get through the program because of the nature of his job. The point being is it is flexible, 100% asynchronous, self-paced and asynchronous, even though you're interacting a lot with your faculty member and your 18 to 19 other classmates every week. You're doing it whenever it's convenient for you. So you're logging into class whatever day of the week, whatever time of the day works for you. And like I said, we're just really excited at the diversity of the program. And more exciting for us is, our mission is to help students win in business. And that's what's happening because of the practical nature of the program, John. About 73% of our students are getting, multiple promotions and raises while they're going through the program, which is so exciting to us. Because they're practicing what they're learning and they're getting noticed and they're getting promoted. So, that's kind of the 30,000-foot view of the program. We have 3 different concentrations now, in addition to our original MBA, which we now call our Leadership MBA. We started out with a healthcare concentration. We enlisted the help of people like Omar Ishraq from Medtronic and Toby Cosgrove from Cleveland Clinic. So we have a healthcare concentration, we have a human resource concentration, and our newest concentration, which actually has become the most popular, aside from the traditional leadership MBAs, our operations management concentration.
Ah, that makes sense. Totally. Well, that's a really good overview. Casey, tell us about the Gies program.
Sure. So our online program, also known as the IMBA, launched in 2016. We really have a mission to democratize education, specifically in the MBA market. We want to offer a high quality, high touch, flexible program, but really at a fraction of the cost of a lot of our peer 1 research institutions and our competitors. So the total cost of the program is just under $22,500. Courses are arranged into specializations. And include a combination of synchronous and asynchronous learning. So we have multiple live lectures each week. They're really designed to be online. We put our best and brightest faculty, have a full e-learning support team, but they're flexible too. So, you don't have to be dedicated to logging in at 7 p.m. every Wednesday. If that works great for you one week, terrific. Next week, you could be logging in at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning. They're also recorded though, so they're available to watch on demand if needed. Mm-hmm. The program's really high touch and team-based as well. So you're going to have a lot of group projects. As my colleagues have discussed, one of the benefits of an online degree is that diversity of students. The level of experience is tremendous. And so you're really going to get that real world experience. They're bringing in, situations that happened at work yesterday, and then you're taking away that learning and hopefully applying it into your own career as well. Our program's large. It's grown significantly, just around 4,500 students currently enrolled with 2,500 alums just out of the online program itself. The degree can be completed, designed to be done in 2 to 3 years, but you have flexibility to stretch it out to 5 years if needed. No requirements ever to come to campus, but we certainly have opportunities to do so. We have a large event each fall called iConverge. John's had the pleasure of attending it a few times. We also have smaller meetups across the US and even global. We've done global immersions in the past and hope to be resuming those soon. We've had micro immersions, virtual immersions, so a lot of opportunities to connect both with our faculty and peers online or in person. So I think I kind of covered the basics, but let me know if I missed anything.
That's a lot. That's good. And Casey, I wonder if you could talk a little bit about how should an applicant look at this? In other words, how do you find the right fit for you?
Sure.
I mean, what are some of the questions you need to ask yourself and get answered in the process of exploring which program might be ideal for you?
Yeah, I think the first thing is talk to our staff. We're not scary people. We want to talk to you. We want to find the right fit for you. Yes, a lot of us that are doing the recruiting are also involved in the admissions decisions, but we want to get to know you as a person and find and make sure that this is going to be a good fit for you and your goals. So talk to the admissions and recruiting team. Also talk to current or alums of the program. I think that can be the best resource to really learn about their experience. But probably before you do either of those things is making sure you identify what you want out of a program. What is your best learning style? Is it fully asynchronous? Do you need a lot of due dates and synchronous learning to stay motivated and on track? The third thing that I'll say is take advantage. I know our program in particular, we do mock classes. So you get the opportunity to actually, attend a lecture and see what it's like to do the breakout sessions. Sometimes there's homework even assigned afterwards. So that's a little bit of a difference of an online program. You can actually even take a course or a few courses as a non-degree student and really try it out before fully committing. So you have, I think, a lot more flexibility and options with some of the online programs than you do with the traditional residential experience where, you sign up, you apply, and then you're committed to uprooting your life for a couple of years.
That's true. Those are really good suggestions. Elise, do you have any other ideas about how someone can choose a program that's best for them?
Yeah, finding the right fit is something that's super important to us, especially since we have so many different types of MBAs at Foster. Something that we're proud of is you get the same MBA from anyone. So we actually have an event that's called Finding the Right Fit, where we have all the work compatible programs. So we have a technology MBA, we have an evening MBA, which is in person, a lot less structured. You can spend more time to finish it. We have an executive MBA, more geared towards executives, the full-time MBA. So we have all these different types of MBAs, and we would never want to push someone into ours just because, we want to recruit more people. We really want people who are the right fit. And so we have a lot of people that need a really flexible schedule. So a lot of parents, 20% are military or veterans. So we have a lot of people who, they really need that flexibility that we offer. And so we're looking for people who are super motivated because, as Casey mentioned, you're going to be working at home alone a lot of the time. We have one synchronous class a week. So the rest of your work is going to be meeting with your team or working alone, taking those asynchronous classes. So I always look for people that maybe they have experience working from home, maybe they've run their own business, they can really show that they can manage their time well, because a lot of our students are working full-time, most of them. They're now in we have a full-time credit load. So you're taking a full credit load of classes. And then most people, a lot of our students have families and little kids. So it's pretty amazing the amount that they're able to balance their time. But, they always say you just kind of got to get creative, got to, schedule some time to do your homework, meet with your team. And so we are always looking for people that are able to prove to us that they can manage their time really wisely. So that's kind of from the practical standpoint. But then we also are looking for the fit as who are you as an applicant. Foster is really emphasizes the we before me mentality. So we're team-based, we're community-based. We want people who are involved in their community. Maybe they volunteer, maybe they're involved in, something at work, some kind of community-based work activity. And so if you can show us that you're kind of looking at business for the greater good, and, really looking in that global mindset, that's something that we really want people to emphasize in their resumes, in their essays, in their interviews, showing us that you work well with others, because obviously on a team of 5 to 6 for 2 years, there's going to be some conflict. How do you resolve conflict is something we really look for. And we just want people to be set up for success. So you're able to work well on a team, you're able to work well online and in person. And so you do well with, kind of that flexibility and lack of structure. And if you can show us that, then we'll want you in our program because we want people who are truly a good fit just for the hybrid program with us.
Sure, that all makes sense. And now, Jordan, I'm also thinking that a factor in fit or determining your fit for a program is about your career interests. Now, there are some programs that have a deeper dive or concentration or major in certain areas. So if you had a concentration, and I don't know, you can name it, and that would immediately put you in consideration, I would think, for a given candidate who has an interest in that field. Is that right?
Yes, we do have students that are often interested in a certain concentration or those graduate certificates or dual degrees that I mentioned. So the way that Auburn's curriculum is structured is there are 9 core classes that every student's going to take. So that's going to be cross-disciplinary for all facets of business to give you a good grounded business understanding. And then with the 4 electives that you can take, you have the option to customize that into what your career interests may be. So like I said, that could be that you want to take a deeper dive into supply chain, which is a large program at Auburn that we just added a graduate degree for, and take those elective courses and add that graduate certificate in those electives with no additional cost, but get, a certificate and a MBA all at one time. Or maybe it's finance, information systems, business analytics, but have the opportunity to choose those specialties. Or for students that don't have a specific interest and want to take classes from all of those, we give them the flexibility and the option to do that as well. And just speaking of, career-wise, our students do also have access to our career services team. So I know that for many students, depending on what their career goals are entering an MBA, whether it's to progress in their own company, to pivot to something completely different, to look in a different industry, they may have different needs for what they're looking for out of the program. So our career services team is there to assist them and help them through that, whether it's one-on-one coaching, resume review, salary negotiation, whatever it is that they need help professionally with outside of the classroom, then we want to make sure that we have the ability to offer that to them as well.
Yeah, that's really good. Now, Carla, I wonder what kind of students are you actually looking for? You gave us a little sense of the diversity of people in your program. But are there specific attributes that you look for in a good candidate?
Yeah, that is such a great question. We really do. We interview every candidate either before or after they apply, but before we present them to the admissions board. What we're really looking for is a couple things. We always, either myself or somebody on my team is going to, speak with the individual. And what's really important to us is we want to figure out your why. Why are you doing this? What are your long-term goals? We want to make sure that this is a good fit for you, that will get you to where. And some people don't know, and that's okay too. But trying to figure out the person, getting the holistic view of every student was so important to Jack and everybody on the admissions board. So we look for, of course, have to have a bachelor's degree, but from there, Jack used to call this the ticket to the game. What we're really looking at is your experience, and not only your experience, but where you're hoping to go. We also really, appreciate and look for that volunteer experience, whether you're volunteering as a coach, like the gentleman I was just speaking to, he was a NFL player, but he also volunteers as a coach, or you're volunteering for the Girl Scouts of America. But we look for that as well, because Jack used to call that the generosity gene. And it's something that is such an essential characteristic and trait of great leaders, and not everybody has that. So that is always kind of icing on the cake when we see that people have that capacity. So we really do want to get a very holistic view of every student. And the common denominator for us is about 98% of our students are working full-time. So we understand that and trying to make sure that they, have a grasp for what the time going to be, the 10 to 12 hours per week if they're taking one class, or 15 to 20 if they're taking 2, making sure that they understand that they're going to have to be good at the time management, but with the flexibility that this program affords, that it is something that they can make work. So again, it's really a very holistic view of the student. We not only want to make sure that every student is a good fit for us, but more importantly, this program is going to help those students win in their careers and get to where they want to go. So it's a very holistic view of every student.
Now, I know that Jack had many views on business management and leadership. And I wonder how you can pick any perspective of his, that may be well known, differentiation, be number one and number two, or get out or sell, and any of the things that he's known for. And then could you give me an idea of how it's taught in the program?
Absolutely. I'm also a graduate of the program. I didn't mention that to you. And, it is, the core of Jack's philosophies. And for instance, differentiation is such a greatly misunderstood concept of Jack's. I mean, it is true that, the 20, 70, 10, the 20 are your top players and you celebrate those. And, the first class that every student takes, John, is leadership in the 21st century, regardless of concentration or not, because it's so foundational. And you learn Jack Welch's leadership principles. You read Jack Welch's book, Winning. But regarding, differentiation, you celebrate your top 20, your middle 70 are the ones that you're going to work on and help them to improve. If students if employees are in the bottom 10%, first of all, the people need to know where they stand. That was really big on Jack's list. He wanted people to understand, if you are in the bottom 10%, you should know that. And then, the employer's going to do everything that they can to help you get out of that bottom 10%. If you can't, you're obviously not in the right position for you. So it's an injustice for the employee. And they should know where they stand. So you help to move them into either a position within the organization that's going to suit their skills, or you help them, or you love them on the way out, as Jack would say. But again, it's all about, it is a very kind approach to treating the bottom 10%, helping them to either improve or find something where they can shine, because nobody wants to be in the bottom 10% of anything. So.
That's really
but
true.
all those leadership
And that is one of the more controversial aspects of his teachings. And you're right, it is often misunderstood, because he didn't want to just fire the bottom 10% every year. I mean, basically, it's a difficult thing to fire people. One of the most difficult things anyone can do. But if you know that you're actually doing them a service because they could be successful somewhere else, that's very helpful. And it is helpful to be honest with your employees and let them know exactly where they stand, because so few managers have the courage to do that. That's a good example of a differentiation in your program, because I'm sure that those classes on that particular topic are quite lively. Elise, what are some of the aspects of the curriculum at Foster that people remember once they leave, that really meant something to them, that resonated in one way or another?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah, we have so many wonderful faculty. We share our faculty between all of the Foster schools, so they're really incredible. They're really lovely people. They show up to the social and networking events, which I think is really great. So students really feel connected to them, especially through those immersions, because they get to know them in person. I think the class that I always hear about is called Successful Negotiations. And I think it's because just negotiations are so important in life, and people always emphasize, so important in a job, getting a job, negotiating, but also just anything, buying a house, buying a car, interpersonal relationships. I think a lot of those interpersonal classes are really what I hear from students. We have a class that you take at the very beginning called Building Effective Teams, where you work directly with your small team that you've just been put on. And us in the admissions kind of admin world, we put together the team and try to make it as diverse as possible based on their background, based on the field they work in, their work experience, their undergraduate GPA. And so we kind of try to level everything out. But as you can imagine, that can make it a bit tricky. We're not putting people on teams, because they all have the same interests. We're putting them because they all have different interests. And so I think those teams, because, if you just threw them in, I think it could be really tricky. But having classes where they really build, kind of do personality tests, team building activities, I think that is really something that strikes a chord when you're starting that at the very beginning. And then there are other, kind of team building classes along the way that people really enjoy. Some other classes people love. We have a really great entrepreneurship program. The Burke Center for Entrepreneurship was started by one of our faculty members. And so I think being able to tap into that Foster resource and work with other entrepreneurs in the foster school that aren't in our program, I think is really valuable as well.
That's great. I love how practical all the things that you mentioned are. Learning how to effectively team, learning to negotiate with others, doing something with an entrepreneurial mindset. All pragmatic stuff that you can immediately apply. Casey, what are your hallmarks?
I think for us, it's, flexibility, affordability, stackability. And I know I've touched on those a little bit, but this is a program designed for working professionals. We still want it to be high touch, but we want we understand that you have other commitments, and so you have flexibility in the scheduling of your courses and when you attend those live lectures. And if you need to take a 8-week session or a semester off, you certainly have the option to do so. Affordability, we've really tried to make the program low cost, and in the price that we put there is all inclusive in terms of there's not additional fees or textbook costs or unexpected things that you're going to be hit with. It really is, that tuition is all encompassing. There's opportunities to do things in class or come in person, but they're never going to be required. And so you really can get a high quality MBA from a reputable institution at an affordable price. We see that return on investment over and over again. And then that stackability component, you can start with a MOOC, an open enrollment course on the Coursera platform, and add it into a 4-credit course, a single course. We're introducing 4-credit certificates launching this fall. So if you just want to start out with a leadership certificate or a certificate in data analytics, you can do that and then later stack that into the degree as well. We have a master management degree, which is a shorter option. If you're really not sure to committing to 2 to 3 years for your MBA, you could potentially start out with that and then later stack it into the MBA as well. So again, you don't have to make that upfront commitment for the next foreseeable couple of years. If you're really not sure, you can test drive things out and then go on the path that best fits you.
Great. Now, Jordan, if I had the opportunity to talk to your alumni about the hallmarks of the program, what would they tell me?
I think one of the biggest things that we hear from our alums is that they are surprised happily that it was the same rigor as their students who are their friends who went through a full-time MBA was. So our professors are the same as our full-time MBA. They have the same expectations for our online MBA students as they have for the full-time students. So just because it's online doesn't mean you're not getting the same quality education that a student would get if they chose to come in person. So I think that that's something that our alumni will always mention and talk about, and they're very grateful for. The other thing I would say is that our alums always come back and tell us that they feel like they're a part of Auburn, even though they may have only come to campus one time and they haven't spent much time in Alabama. They feel like they've become a part of the Auburn family and they feel immersed in the culture of Auburn, and they're proud to represent Auburn after they finish and keep talking about it. So I think that that's something that's a great hallmark and testament to our program, that even if they're not physically on our campus, they still feel connected to it. And the last thing I would say is return on investment. So, Casey's talked about affordability being a factor, and it's definitely something people should look into as they're considering a program is, and there's the money I'm putting in, am I going to get a return on that? And from our data, what we see with our students in our online program is that they have a 32% salary increase from the time they start to graduation when they're finishing. So we know that they're getting that immediate return on investment, that if they are paying for the program out of pocket, then they're going to have the ability to do that based on what they're making once they finish.
About that. Sorry, I was muted. Carla, what about the ROI at Jack Welch? I'm sure you have numbers on that as well.
I do, and I'm so glad you asked. I mentioned earlier about, 73% of our students are getting multiple promotions and raises. Our average graduate, and this is considering the full $46,000. Keep in mind, a lot of our students have scholarships with a variety of different scholarships. A lot of our students are using, different benefits. We have over 300 corporate partnerships. with companies for like Verizon, AT&T, the list goes on, where they get tuition discounts. But even if they were paying the $46,000, the average return on investment for our graduates is 1.8 years. So in under 10 years, our students are recouping that cost as a result of the, salary increases and promotions and new jobs that they're getting. I'll share with you a story that really touched me. I got a message from a student that I enrolled personally a couple of years ago, just on Saturday, and he told me, he said, Carla, this was the best decision I ever made for myself. He said, for my career, he said, when I started the program, I was making $90,000 a year. By the time I graduated, I was making over $200,000 a year. But it was just so touching. He was a veteran, and he was sharing, that he just felt like it was the best career decision he made. And the other return on investment, I'll have to say, and it's not quantifiable, but 98% of our students are saying, their confidence as a leader has grown exponentially after having gone through the program. And that's the biggest thing I can tell you is the big differentiator is the confidence that people come out of the program with. I would say that, this program not only changes the way you look at the world, but it'll change the way the world looks at you, and the confidence that students have, and you can't really put a dollar figure on that one, John.
That's really true. And I know Jack spoke often about self-confidence and its importance in leadership.
Yeah.
I wonder if we might talk a little bit about what people might sacrifice by going to an online MBA. The going in thought might be, okay, I'm not going to really bond with my classmates. I'm not going to know this well. I won't be walking the hallways and colliding with them or being on clubs with them. I won't be going out for a beer after class at a local bar or having lunch in the student cafeteria. And that might affect my ability to do networking because I can't simply go to interviews with recruiters who would come to interview the full-time MBAs on some of the programs. Maybe I'm not going to have as many opportunities to do a career switch. What do you say? What misgivings like that are not true? And do you actually have to sacrifice something for the flexibility of the program, for the lower cost of the program, or do you not? Carla?
Thank you. Yes, that is such a great conversation that I have all the time with students, especially if they've never been in online. But we are very unique in that we really pride ourselves. One of the hallmarks of our of JWMI is the tremendous amount of camaraderie and networking that comes along. We have a proprietary network called JWMI Connect, where once you become a student, you can join that and you can start right away connecting with all the other 1,800 students. There's over 3,000 graduates, the 150 faculty. We had 77 different events last year. So we have virtual networking events. We have leadership live webinars. All this is live. We have global networking days and nights, and you can be matched up with a mentor. But there's so much that happens right on that JW Connect, which is of course outside of the classroom. And that really there's job boards. Our students are really. There's a lot of fellowship and camaraderie. So our students and alumni really look out for each other. A lot of them are, hiring each other, giving them, professional advice and that type of thing. But we're really proud of that. And that's the other thing that students tell us, once they finish, is that they are surprised at the level of networking engagement that they got and not realizing it would be to such an extent when they started the program.
Casey, can you address that question too? Having attended a couple of iConverge sessions on your campus, I'm surprised at how well bonded the students are and how some of them meeting for the first time, it's as if they were long life friends.
Yeah, absolutely. I think to follow up on a lot of the things Carla said, our program has similar, we use a social media platform called Workplace. It's a bit of a combination of Facebook and LinkedIn and really can be used for supplementing what's happening in the classroom, but also for all kinds of opportunities outside of the classroom to join groups based on your interests, based on classes you're taking, geography, people that want to pursue entrepreneurship can join a group there. And then within those groups, you can, have events either virtually or in person. I think all of us have realized that we're capable of making connections online. Maybe it's much different than we had a couple of years ago. During the height of the pandemic, I had a colleague that had started working with us. We went and got drinks probably 6 or 8 months later. And I think both of us were like a half hour in and was like, wait, this is the first time I've ever met you. And in person. And the only way we realized that is he was much shorter than I expected. I was much taller than he expected, but it really felt like we knew each other. And I think that's true for our students within this program as well. So we hear that question a lot. People are concerned that they're not going to be able to develop the network, and we actually feel that it's completely the opposite. You can develop a stronger network, a wider network that's spanning the US, spanning the globe, spanning different levels of industry, different types of industry. And so if your path takes you somewhere unexpected, you can call upon that network much longer down the line.
That's true. You raise a really good point there, because the fact that people are not in a single place, but are taking these courses from all over the country, if not the world, puts you into contact with people you never would have bumped into before. And I know from anecdotal evidence that many job opportunities come up through your classmates. Jordan, I'm sure that's true at Auburn.
Yes, I mean, I know our students will often mention that they feel like they've gained their whole sort of consultant group for any issue they have, that whenever they have trouble with something at work or they need a second opinion, that they have a group of people that they can call upon and talk to. And oftentimes one of the best things that comes from your MBA program is your network and the people that you got to meet, because you learn so much from them, just like they can learn from you. And that's really something we try to address in our application, is we ask people about their skill set. Not only what skills are they bringing into the program, but what skills do they not have, but they want to learn. First, just because we want people to be in the program that have a willingness to learn and don't think they already know everything, but it also shows us who's in that class and what kind of experiences they're going to have with each other that they can then take for the rest of their career and call upon those people.
Yeah, really good point. Elise, can you talk about the student experience as well here?
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you might not expect as an online student that will happen during the time you study? I mean, one thing you mentioned early on, a lockstep program, that you're going through the program for the first year with the same classmates, and you're going to get to know them better as a result.
Yeah, I think, as I mentioned, Foster is really community-based. So I think that's a big reason why we have that team-based model. I think, as Casey mentioned, we're all kind of used to, I see a lot of people in their rooms or whatever. I think we're all getting more and more used to building connections online, and we see the value of that. And even though maybe 3 years ago we thought that, oh, it's not possible to, make the same connections that you can online, I think all of us have had, new experiences where we kind of can understand that that is possible. And there's also a lot of value. We have students across the country, so you can build your network in New York or Chicago or San Francisco at a program that's based in Seattle. And so I think that brings a lot of value to the program. And, our first years right now, they represent 67 companies. Our second years represent 70 companies. So you have all these people from all these backgrounds that you can build a network with. And I think since we do emphasize that synchronous work, the in-person immersions, as well as the weekly class, if you're taking it with your whole class once a week, eventually, you're really going to get to know everyone's faces, where they work, what they do. We also have a lot of different co-curricular experiences. So we have a super active student council. They put together a lot of fun events. We have an alumni association that puts together a lot of great events. We have a diversity, equity, inclusion group called JEDI that does that. We have a mental health group. So all these different groups you can get involved in, and then you're going to kind of build those closer knit networks, even though it's online. And then they can all check in person. And so we really do see a lot of value to having that in-person component. But still having all that flexibility.
Great. Well, I can't believe it, but we're already out of time. But I want to thank each and every one of you for a terrific session. I think it was really helpful to our audience. Learned a lot about an online MBA, what it can bring you, what it's going to be like, what the student experience is, and finding the right fit. So thank you, Carla, Elise, Casey, and Jordan. It's been a real pleasure.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, John.